Okay, so let's see if you can answer this basic algebra question. And the question is the following, given this equation right here, which is 2m squared is equal to 32, is m equal for a correct solution to this equation? Okay, now you got to be very careful with this problem. I'm not going to tell you why, but I am kind of giving you a word of caution. So really think this through. That's again a little bit of a hint, but if you can figure this out, go ahead and put your answer into the comment section. I'll show you the correct answer in just 1 second. Then, of course, I'm going to fully explain what's going on here. But before we get started, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is John and I have been teaching middle and high school math for decades. And if you need help in mathematics, check out my math help program at tcmathacademy.com. You can find a link to that in the description below. And if this video helps you out, or if you just enjoy this content, make sure to like and subscribe, as that definitely helps me out. Okay, so I'm kind of sounding like this is a bit of a trick question. Well, it's not a trick question, but you got to be very careful that you answer the question completely. So one more time, we have this equation right here, 2m squared is equal to 32. Is m equal 4 the correct answer to this equation? So let me go ahead and show you the answer. The answer is yes, m equals 4 is correct, but it is not the full solution to this equation. So if you kind of answered something along those lines, that's what I was looking for. So if you figure this out, well, let me go ahead and give you a nice little happy face in A plus a 100% and multiple stars. You can tell your friends and family that indeed you understood that this was a quadratic equation, and this equation has two solutions, one of which is m is equal to 4. So you got to be very careful with these type of questions. And if you don't really understand what I'm talking about, well, let me go ahead and start explaining this thing right now. Okay, so let's suppose you were taking a test, quiz, something like that, and you were given this problem, okay, and you had a, let's say, a multiple choice exam. So let's just kind of do A, B, C, D, and this happens a lot to students. And let's say you see m is equal to 4, you see m is equal to 7, you see m is equal to the square root of 9, and then you see m is equal to plus or minus 4. Okay, so here's what happens to a lot of students. They'll be like, okay, 2m squared is equal to 32. Let me see here. And let's suppose they don't even really know how to solve this equation, but they say, well, look, m is equal to 4. Maybe this works. And then they plug this value into this equation. It works, and they'll select this option, and that option will be the wrong answer because it's an incomplete answer. So how can we determine whether m is equal to 4? First of all, if this is even correct in terms of a possible solution to this equation. Well, when you're checking solutions, you got to be very careful, but there's basically two ways you can check to see if a solution is a correct solution to an equation. Okay, now again, those two ways are the following. So you can solve the equation, just kind of see your answer and compare it to this possible solution that you have, and you can verify it as well. Now, when you verify solutions in nice like linear equations like 2x plus 1 is equal to 9, well, you got to know something about algebra. This equation right here is what we call, again, a one variable linear equation. It's only going to have one answer, okay? But this equation right here, if you know something about algebra, this is a quadratic equation. This is going to have two solutions. So you got to be able to recognize that. And right here, this is only one solution. So although this might work into this equation, it's not the full solution because we don't have two answers. So if you were, recognize this, if you had some good algebra knowledge and skills, you'd be like, wait a minute, this is a quadratic equation. It must have two solutions. And you go through your options, you'd be like, oh, right down here, this option has two solutions. And if these options here only have one solution, even if you didn't know if it was right, this one here, I mean, my writing's kind of scribbly here, but this does represent two solutions. You would pick that even if you didn't know, because you just know this equation must have two solutions. So you got to really know your stuff in algebra. And I did indicate that this is kind of basic algebra. What I really mean, this is like first year algebra, okay? So if you are in, like, say, pre-algebra, you don't understand what I'm talking about, well, you'll be taking this class, in your following, course. But let's go ahead and get into this right now. So again, you can solve or you can verify. Now, let's suppose somebody said, well, I'm going to verify this solution. Okay. Now, let's take our answer here. M is equal to 4. And what does it mean to verify? Well, what that means is we're going to plug in this value, M is equal to 4, and we're going to replace this M with 4. And then we're going to see if the equation balances out. Because if the left-hand side, the value of the left-hand side is equal to the right-hand side, well, that is a true statement. When we say something is equal to one another, well, that's exactly what we mean. We mean like, hey, this number is actually going to be this number. So when we plug in 4, what happens? So let's go ahead and check this right now. So we'll replace M with 4. And then, of course, we have to be very careful here because we have the order of operations. We have to do powers before multiplication. So 4 squared is 4 times 4, or 16. And then, of course, we have 2 times 16, which is 32. And is that equal to 32 on the other side of the equation? Yes, it is. So that is a true statement, indicating that M equal to 4, okay, is a good solution, but it's not the entire solution. All right, so you got to be very careful when you are verifying, and that's why really when it comes to, especially taking tests and exams, if you're looking for shortcuts to learn algebra, that is not a good approach, especially if you are a student and you need to kind of pass a class or get a good grade. The best strategy there is just to learn the material, master the material. You'll always be better off. Okay, so let's go ahead and solve this equation. But before we do that, I'm going to ask you to hit that subscribe button. I definitely need your support. Now, I need your support because I want to support other people. I want to help people learn math. It does me no good to have all this math knowledge and skills. I've been teaching for decades. What good is it for me to, have this in my brain? I want to be able to help others that can benefit from this instruction. So the easiest way you can support this channel is just hit that subscribe button and then hit that notification bell as well. And by the way, if you're new to my YouTube channel, I have well over 2,000 plus videos from basic math to advanced math like calculus and everything in between. So let's go ahead and talk about what we can do here to check to see if this is a good solution. Well, we could just kind of just straight away solve this equation and take a look at the answer and see if this is an answer. M is equal to 4 is an answer that we come up with if we're confident in our ability to solve this quadratic equation. All right, so let's go ahead and do this right now. We have 2m squared is equal to 32. Again, I am talking about that this thing right here is a quadratic equation. Now, if you're not familiar with what a quadratic equation is, this is a huge part of algebra, and you'll learn everything about it. Now, if you need help with algebra, whether it's basic linear equations or quadratic equations, any of this stuff, let me give you a couple quick suggestions. One, I have a ton of videos on my YouTube channel that can help you out. But two, I would recommend that you get into like my full course of instruction so I can really take my time and teach you in a comprehensive manner everything you need to know, and we can walk through the solution to many problems. If you understand these problems, then you'll be able to do pretty much any problem that you'll encounter on a test or an exam. You can find a link to all my main math courses in the description of this video. I would recommend my Algebra 1 course for most of you out there. If you're in Algebra 2 or pre-calculus, you'll see those links as well. Okay, but nevertheless, this is a quadratic equation, meaning that we must have two solutions, okay? Now, we could have one real number solution, a double root, but nevertheless, we're looking for two answers. So let's go ahead and solve this thing. Now, how can we solve this equation? Well, we have 2m squared is equal to 32. What we want to do is isolate the m squared. We want to get this on one side of the equation, and get a number on the other side. So we have 2 times m squared. So the easiest thing to do is simply divide both sides of the equation by 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1m squared, or just m squared, and 32 divided by 2 is 16. Okay, so now we have m squared is equal to 16, and how do we solve for m? Easy, all we have to do is take the square root of both sides. The square root of m squared is m, and the square root of 16 in this case is going to be both positive and negative 4. Okay. If I just ask you, let's say I give you a quiz and I said, hey, what's the square root of 16? Now it's not involved in any sort of equation. You would just answer 4. This is the correct answer. This is what we call the principal square root. But in this situation, when I'm solving for solving a quadratic equation and 16 is on the other side of the equation, I take the square root of 16. I need both the positive and negative version of that answer, because positive 4 times positive 4 is a positive 16, and negative 4 times negative 4, negative times negative, is also positive. That's a positive 16. Now, a lot of students get confused, or a lot of people get confused with saying, all right, if I just ask you what is the square root of 16, they want to say both positive and negative 4. You don't answer this question by itself this way. It's always positive. This is, again, this concept called the principal square root. But in a situation like this, where we are solving a quadratic equation, we are looking for both answers. Okay, so we need both roots. So the first solution is 4, and the second solution here is negative 4. Okay, so I know some of you might think, boy, Mr. YouTube Math Man, this is a little bit of a trick question. And what's the whole idea behind verifying a solution where, this is not the complete solution? Well, you're going to encounter, especially if you are a student, all different types of tests, exams. Your teachers, okay, or if you're taking any sort of standardized test, they're going to try to trick you, okay? Believe me when I tell you, I have written a ton of tests. You're not going to, pretty much the way it works is this. You're going to get a lot of easy, very basic questions. Then you get some like medium level questions, and then you're going to get some questions that are really going to challenge your understanding. And only people who look like that are going to be able to figure this stuff out. Okay, so most people could probably pass the test, but you're not going to pass the test with flying colors unless you have, a strong, comprehensive understanding of the material. And that's why, if you really want to be successful in math, the best approach is just to go all in, work hard, and get great instruction. And that's where I can help you out. Okay, so with all that being said, I definitely wish you all the best in your mathematics adventures. Thank you for your time and have a great day.